statue of the Virgin Mary is one of the most prized and sought after and coveted lost treasures in New England, and it is only 2.5 feet tall, believe it, pure silver statue of Virgin Mary. It is said to be priceless, and but it is easily worth several $1 million right now. So it would be nice to recover it uh, for the church. The silver Madonna was stolen from the small Indian village in Quebec, Canada, called St. Francis. This pure silver statue of Madonna was stolen from the Catholic chapel in St. Francis village by the soldiers of Major Robert Rogers during a brutal and violent raid. This raid was partially the result of increasing tensions resulting from constant violence along the Canadian border between the French Canadians and the British colonists on the US side. The commander of British troops, Lord Geoffrey Amherst, ordered Major Roberts and his rangers to attack this peaceful small Indian village named St. Francis. Major Rogers and his rangers were very undisciplined, violent, did not wear uniforms, and were basically regarded as hired killers. In the middle of the night, Rogers and his band, numbering about 200 rangers, stormed the defenseless Abenakis men, women, and children. These hired killers attacked the defenseless village without mercy. They pulled the Indians from their shelters and clubbed the Abenakis, shot, stabbed, scalped, and mutilated them without mercy. Men, women, and children, even the priest, was killed. Then they robbed the chapel from its golden chalices, candlesticks, silver and gold crosses. As they made their way towards the altar, rangers stopped and stared in amazement at the incredibly stunning statue of Silver Virgin Mary with the flames that reflected from the burning altar of the chapel. A few moments passed before the rangers, with a great hesitation, moved and lifted this incredible figure of Silver Virgin, carried it outside, and placed it on a horse. Fearing pursuit, the rangers quickly assembled and started retreating towards Fort Ticonderoga near the New York Vermont border, where the commander, Lord Geoffrey Amherst, was stationed. Sure enough, a force of French soldiers with over 100 Indians were quickly closing in on them. Roberts decided to divide his company to elude the pursuers. He continued with about half of the men on the trail south, but the remaining rangers, carrying Madonna and other stolen church valuables, went off the trail towards east. Not much time went by when the pursuers caught up with the two groups of the struggling rangers, and the fighting began with heavy tolls on both sides. The group carrying the Madonna was caught by the pursuers, and only after a couple of days of running and defending themselves, more than 40 of them were already killed. Many more were starting to desert them, just going away through the woods. To make things worse, a snowstorm hit the area, which caught them by surprise. Upon approaching the lower end of Lake Memphramahog, spelled Memphramahog, on the border of Quebec and Vermont, they abandoned the horse carrying crosses and candlesticks and other valuables from the church because the horse became lame. They didn't even bother to try to bury it. They just didn't have enough time for it. The rangers crossed the lake and went southeast towards the Connecticut River. The rangers were in sorry, ragged shape, hungry and tired, plodding through the woods of Vermont, being constantly assaulted by the French pursuers. Without food, they continued to push the horse carrying Silver Madonna. After crossing Connecticut River in New Hampshire by the today's town of Lancaster, they continued upstream of the Israel River, reaching the foothills of White Mountains. 3 more days of difficult travel found the men eating the leather of the buckskins as they were starving, and so they stopped but climbed a steep path, switchbacking from the riverbank, and found a shelter from an overhanging rock where they killed the horse carrying Madonna and ate it raw without cooking it. The following day, one of the rangers with a raging fever decided that the statue virgin was the cause of all the misfortunes, so he seized the statue and rolled it into the edge of Israel River. 2 more days went by, and only one of the rangers was still alive. He started walking in upstream direction, and on the second day, reaching a small settlement where he was helped and fed. He told the local residents the whole story and about the virgin statue rolled into the river by another ranger. Some time went by, and 4 men from the settlement went along the banks of the Israel River until they located the overhanging rock which provided shelter for the rangers. But despite many searches that followed, the cherished statue of Silver Madonna was never found. It is believed that it still lies off the edge of the Israel River close to the rock shelter. Because of its significant weight, it is not likely that it traveled downstream, but considering the bottom's softer texture of the river, it's very likely that it sank few feet below the river's bed. The actual place on Israel River where Ranger Sergeant Patterson rolled the statue in is believed to be downstream, not far from Jefferson City in New Hampshire. I would be remiss if I didn't mention at least few interesting forts in the state of Connecticut. If you enjoyed this program, please like it, subscribe it, and share it. Fort number 4. Even though there is nothing left from this fort, the location obviously and still remaining ruins of old colonial buildings are still there. Why is this an important place to check out? Because this was a place where so many things happened. It was a place where during Revolution patriots occupied it, and it was a site of many battles. But more notable ones that happened are in 1746 when the Indians attacked it twice and burned all of the houses and farms around it. Only 3 years later, it defended itself successfully by a massive siege of over 700 Indians and Frenchmen. It is located in County 11 on the Connecticut River, close to County 12 and Sullivan County, less than a mile from there. Another fort worth noting is called Stark Fort. It is not easily found, but it is located near Nuts Pond, Nutts Pond. It almost seems like it's hiding from strangers. It was erected when the colonial war started. It is in proximity of Manchester, Hillsborough County. The neighborhood is littered with ruins of old properties in the area. Another fort worth mentioning is Fort William and Mary, or Fort Constitution as it was later known. It was occupied for a short period of time in 1806 and 1812 because of the war, but then it was abandoned and only ruins are left behind. It was originally constructed in 1600s to protect against the pirates. There are still many remnants from colonial period in the countryside in the area nearby. If you enjoy this program, please like it, subscribe it, and share it.